Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of The Sinner. A great finale. A lot of stuff went down in this episode, so we're going to break it down. Obviously, kind of picking up where last week's episode left off, the whole Marin situation is still devastating, and it sucks because you can see it just hit Heather because there was just so much that was unsaid, so much she never get a chance to make up for, and it's just like, just when she thought Marin was going, and now Marin was back in her life again, and now it's like Marin's going yet again, and you could just see her kind of just struggling with it. So it turns out, me kind of immediately was like, yeah, it looks like whatever the situation was, it would look like it was a struggle over the gun. And I was like, okay. Then, Brick ended up talking about the fact is, hey, like, I found some files. Basically, there were some payments being sent to Mosswood every so often, from Mosswood to the commune or whatever. And then it turns out, like, Brick ends up bringing it up later on. It's like, yeah, that was actually on Liddell, like, in Liddell's desk. So it was like, why would he hide information like that? Is he like what's going on with this, That was the big question, because it's like, oh man, is he in on this? Because we know like a lot of people are connected to Mosswood. So it's like, oh, is he part of this, or is he being blackmailed? Like, what is that whole ordeal? And then it turns out, no, it's actually connected to Jack. He was holding on to it for so long because he was trying to verify it himself, why he didn't want to, he didn't want to make it public. It's also probably why he took Heather off the case, because it's like, oh, this is getting too personal for you, which it was, but also knowing what he knew, he didn't want Heather to kind of find out. That's why he had to verify it first. He probably didn't want Heather anywhere near this, but Heather kind of stumbled across it on her own because she went home to her dad and found a Fire Nation's motel key. So it's like in the dryer. So he was definitely mixed up in it. It's like the moment he was like, I just had to be sure of something first. I was like, the moment he started acting like that, I'm like, and it was before the key was revealed, I'm like, it's Jack, isn't he? He's connected. Like, I had a feeling like there was so much about this Mosswood thing that felt weird about Jack. The way he kept pushing at Heather in certain regards. Because it seemed like every time, like, the whole Marin subject would come up, he tried to push it away, joke, and try to get her transferred on something else. And especially the way he was acting, he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't always very talkative about everything. I should have talked to you about everything, But he's like, I want you to know, like, this has all made me realize how, how very important you are to me and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you had something to do with that whole Marin situation, you being all apologetic like that. And we end up finding out. And it makes, because there's a combination of so much stuff. Like, for one, I'm guessing Marin wasn't into girls, or maybe it's just she wasn't into Heather. Because for her, it's like, because I was thinking like her reasoning for kind of being mad at Heather is because Heather wouldn't admit like her whole situation, which, I think Marin would have been okay with that, but it's like, I want to be friends. We can never be any more than that. But it's like, how can we go back to just being friends when I know how you feel about me? Because in her mind, it's like, oh, Heather's mad. Heather thinks I hate her because I want to have sex with her. And it's like, so I think that's what it comes down to. I thought Marin might have been into it, but maybe it's just, maybe she was. Like, maybe, Marin liked girls too, but it's just like, no, like, I look at you as a friend. I don't feel that way for you. Especially because, let's not forget, Marin was always looking for her family. So for her, Heather and Jack were more of a family. So that's why she couldn't really get into that. So it's kind of like, I think that's what pushed it more so than anything. It's like, no, you're my family. I don't want... It's already kind of weird. It's already in that weird area for Marin because she's very confused. She's just trying to find a family. She wants to find people who will love her, which is all sad and depressing all on its own. But now in retrospect, it's like, it makes so much sense why Jack would push Heather away from this case, because he didn't want her to find out his dirty little secrets. Vera knew about it. That was a choice I didn't see coming. It was like, the moment the story started evolving, I was like, the moment she's there at the place, I'm like, he's Julian's dad. I was like, wow. So she was pregnant even before she went to Mosswood. That's what pushed her to go back to Mosswood. Because, like, the only other people she could turn to, the other people were her family, was such a complicated situation. Things were already weird and complicated between her and Heather. But to be fair, it could have been maybe fixed. It could have taken some time, but maybe things could have been fixed. But after everything that went down with Jack, hell no. Not only is he, like, the father of your child, but also like the circumstances, that was very rapey, so it's kind of like, and he's kind of almost trying to apologize for it, and she just walks away. It's like, that's why she wouldn't come back when Marin was like, come back, Heather. It's like, when Heather was like, Marin, come back, we can go back to the way things were. Not just between her and Heather. It's like, after what she went through, and she even talked about it last episode, because Heather thought about it, because she ended up having to hear the truth from Harry, because Jack couldn't even like muster up to say what he needed to say. he never explained why he did it. I'm assuming it must be like his repressed feelings about his wife or something like that. I don't know. I think for them, they're just like, they're not going to bother justifying it. I mean, not like it's something that is justifiable. It's just like, we're not even going to give a reasoning. It's just like, it was just a shitty thing that he did. You know, I think is how they're just going to leave it at. Like, I guess you could surmise maybe it has something to do, like the way Heather was already kind of like dealing with everything herself. Like, Heather wasn't the only one bottling stuff up. He was, and it just kind of came out in that situation. Because, like, Marin was kind of like, yeah, like, you won't even talk to your daughter about it. You know about her being gay, and I guess because it's not something you'd probably see a lot in Keller, like, she's kind of the only girl, so it's like, she's the only girl that's potentially gay, like, she's dealing with that by herself, and you're like, oh, I'm respecting her privacy, but it's like, you're just trying to make pancakes and just kind of, like, sweep it under the rug. That's not dealing with it, that's not talking about it, which is, like, you know, once again, going back to, like, why there's such an issue. Like I said, that's a big issue, like all across this. No one talked, no one told the truth. You know, no one was being open. Is kind of why the events played out the way they did. But like I said, going back to it, it's like, that's why, you know, Marin was so against leaving. So that was kind of crazy to me, because it never crossed my mind. And I like that they did that, like that switcheroo of like, oh yeah, that's not Lionel's kid, that's Jack's kid, and which makes him Heather's half brother. So, but that's crazy to me, because it's interesting. We never actually got to find out whatever happened to Lionel. I'm assuming Vera poisoned him, but that was never dealt with at all. Not unless his body's secretly in that rock that survived, you know, because she burns it at the end. But that's why I was kind of like, huh. That was never circled back to. So I was like, huh, I guess either he's just somewhere else, he legitimately did leave, or, you know, Vera did poison him and kill him. I mean, because it would, you know, because I'm pretty sure the way she was looking at the cup and everything, that's what that meant, but maybe not. I don't know. It sucks because not only for Heather is this situation sucky, because it's not only did her dad get involved in that situation, like, because I figured as much too when he was kind of like, oh yeah, Marin knew I would give him, so, but why would she think you would give her the money? Like, why would she call you above anyone else? And I was like, oh, that's why. Because I kept wondering, I was like, oh, like, is she calling Lionel? But I was like, no, Lionel's dead, isn't he? But I was kind of not too far off. I was kind of right in certain regards of, like, the whole baby daddy situation, just wrong about the exact baby daddy, you know? So it just sucks that you basically, Heather's entire life gets flipped upside down. Like, what she thought she knew turns out not to be the case. So I'm assuming Jack will end up getting charged for, like, you know, what happened with Marin. I mean, I guess that's why she pulled a gun out on him too, because he's telling her. I mean, he claims, like, I mean, we don't know the exact conversation, but he's like, oh, she was unstable. It's like, well, yeah, after running into you after all these years, and she's just like, okay, give me money so I can leave with my son. You know, it's just kind of like, I don't know what his reasoning for it would be. I guess maybe it was for Heather's sake, maybe it was for Vera's sake. I mean, it's more so because he's being blackmailed by Vera because she knew the truth. So, I mean, that seems like how Moss would kind of handle most situations. They blackmail people. But Julian and Harry ended up talking, and Harry talked about the fact is that at the end of the day, it's not Vera's choice, it's yours. And he's like, what would you do? And Harry's like, honestly, he's like, it comes down to how much you can take. Like, how you deal with everything that's happened, and that how much of that you can take will determine what choice you would make, is what it comes down to. And when the time came, Julian said it himself. He was like, yep, I don't want to go. Because if we run, we'll be running for the rest of our lives. But Vera's kind of like, no, we could start over. It'll be okay. Like, if we don't know what's going to happen if you go back. We might not be able to see each other. I might not be your mother anymore. But even when it's all said and done, he was kind of like, yeah, I don't want my mom to get charged, because no matter what, Vera is his mom. Like I said, it's not like Vera she did terrible things in the past, but nothing as extreme as, like, currently. Like, you know, it's like, it's just, like I said, it's just a messed up, sad circumstances, because Vera did take care of Julian. Like, I like that they kind of did something I feel like they haven't done the entire season. Showed a loving moment between Julian and Vera when they're out there. Like, she's like, I love you, and he's got a smile on his face. I feel like you've never saw Julian, even in the flashbacks, the entire season look like that. Just him and Vera being so happy. And I think that was kind of a nice thing to show too, especially under the circumstances after everything kind of went so wrong. It's kind of like, it just kind of hits you even harder, because it's like, oh man, they were happy at one point in time, and yet, you know, not just Heather, but Julian's entire world flipped upside down. Everybody's world flipped upside down because of this case, you know? So it's crazy. When it's all said and done, the charges against Vera were dropped, and Julian is being sent to a facility where he'll be looked after. Like he could be rehabilitated, because it's like extenuating circumstances that led to Julian doing what he did. But Harry kind of sticks up for him because he's like, hey, not only his first instinct in this situation was he confessed to what he did because he knew what he did was wrong and he confessed to it. The fact of the matter is he's here right now. He voluntarily turned himself in. And I think to face judgment, even though he didn't know how things were going to play out in this situation. And that's a lot more than a lot of us could say under his circumstances. So, and I think that was enough to kind of help sway the judge's opinion on it. So, like, he'll go to a facility for like 4 years, 3 years for review. So, and then, like I said, everything between him and Vera, which there's also like things between Vera and Harry. Like I said, I guess because she doesn't believe in Mosswood anymore. So, or I don't know, like she burned down the barn. So I don't know whether it's just like, oh, Mosswood is done, or whether it's more so because it seemed like she was burning a whole bunch of files and SD cards. I'm assuming that's all the stuff they had on people, blackmailing people. Maybe after these circumstances, after everything playing out because of all the lies and manipulation, like Vera was like, no more. This isn't what Mosswood's going to be born on. So maybe like, because like I said, the rock is still there at the end. So maybe it's kind of representative of Vera being like, no, we're starting over. This is going to be a different Mosswood going forward. Or maybe it's just the end of Mosswood in general. I don't know. It's hard to say where she's going to fall on that whole line. But then ultimately, there was the recording she left Harry. It was kind of like that moment between them. We kind of finally hear about their session. So it's kind of a blend between how he felt about his own mom and how he felt about Vera. Because when he looked at Vera and Julian, he saw his mom and himself. And it's just kind of like, oh, you made me the way I am. I hate you because all you do is you don't care about anyone. You're not trying to help anybody. You just want to, you're smothering Julian, and even though he's not yours and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, but you're pissed because I love him, I cuddle him, I care so much for him. I'm always there, like we talk, I'm there for him. It's something you wish you and your mom had. So that's why he kind of hates Vera on another level too, because even under the circumstances, even not being his biological mom, she was more of a mom than Julian than his own mom was ever to him. So I still feel like there's a lot more to that needs to be unpackaged. And then there's the whole thing of like him putting her hand around his throat and having her choke him. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I guess that's like, even, I guess it's like the stuff he was still, what he was up to in season 1 kind of still coming back, even though it seemed like maybe like, hey, maybe I'm okay now. But even on some level, that's still there. And it seems like maybe that stems related to his mom issues, his whole upbringing. Like there's, like I said, there are layers upon layers of that still left unpackaged. So there wasn't really much said between him and Vera. And Vera was just kind of like, goodbye. And he's like, okay. So, at the end, we had this nice moment of Julian, Heather, and Harry kind of going to Niagara Falls. I thought it was kind of neat because it's like, I think, Heather's doing it on both the aspect of like, well, you are Marin's son, but also because you're like my half little brother. So I wonder would they ever tell him 100% the truth about, yeah, we're related. I mean, maybe Heather did tell him that, which I think would be nice because for Heather, it'd be like her being close to Marin in some shape or form. And, the only kind of well, he's messed up in his own ways, but, but so is she. Maybe both of them, these siblings coming together could, fix a lot of that broken in each other, but it's still like sad circumstances. But finally taking him to Niagara Falls and everything. So it kind of ends on kind of like this sweet, bittersweet moment. Like I figured as much it'd be like season 1 where it's like, yeah, it's definitely a closed situation. But it does seem like there still is more to Harry's story. So I'm curious to see what that potentially could be going forward. As of recording this, it does seem like it's still potentially up in the air whether or not this will be returning for a 3rd season. I talked about it before. I wasn't even expecting this to come back for a 2nd season because I felt like a lot of the stuff with Harry was open-ended, sure, but I guess because it was so successful, they're like, yeah, we got to make more of this. So, which is fine because I'm interested because it does seem like I said, there's still a lot to Harry's story that is still open-ended. there's a lot to deal with. I mean, it's kind of interesting because like it's like season one, Harry had his whole thing in season one, and now he has his thing in season two, which is delving into his past. But even then, it's not like it's 100% answer. There's still a lot more to that. So obviously, like a third season would be nice because we'd have a new case. Because like I said, it has like this almost anthology like aspect to it, which is interesting once again, especially considering how I feel about anthology series. But then again, I guess it is the aspect of like you are following this one particular character because he's the only like 100% consistent character between the seasons so far, so I'd be curious to see like what the next case would be like. Maybe we can kind of come back. They referenced the Cora case a little bit this season, but I'm wondering would there ever be any like checkup between, like maybe if there is a season 3, like we'll see him kind of check in on Julian and Cora in like a potential next season. But I'd be curious to see what the next season's case is, because like each case is like very unique. Like obviously the whole aspect of the show plays into the whole aspect of like, oh, like who did it, and kind of, but you're trying to understand why and how everything kind of fits all together in this puzzle. So I think this show has a very unique perspective on like handling the mystery stuff. I'm curious how this compares to the book, because I know that I don't know if like the entirety of this series, like both seasons, or was it just season 1 that was, that's something I have to look into, like how different the book is from the show, like how it goes about telling the story, So, like I said, I'd be very excited to see whether or not they do a third season. But even if they choose not to, in a situation like this, I would still be okay too. I'd prefer they did a third season, but I'd be okay because of the way the show is designed of being very like, nope, it's a definitive ending. Yes, there's some loose end stuff, but that's the type of storytelling where it's like you don't need all the answers of like how everything played. Because even though we got Cora mentioned here and there, like we still don't see the 100% aftermaths of her situation. It's like, oh, after everything went down at the end of season 1, we know where she ended up, but beyond that, we haven't gotten a peek or real mention of it, at least not that I know of. Maybe there's been some stuff in the background that kind of really brought it up or not, but, so it's one of those series where it's like, it's got a concrete ending, like, it leaves some stuff open, so... But I think, that leads way for, like I said, potential another season. But like I said, if they decided not to, I'd be okay with it. But I feel like, the show does well enough that it would. I mean, I don't know 100% the metrics, but that's, me kind of going in all of that. So, but yeah, really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good